The movie I chose to write about is Interstellar. It's a beautiful, lengthy film that takes many scientific theories and puts them to the test in a realistic scenario where the world is ending and people are dying of hunger. I watched this film critically, occasionally taking notes on scenes that posed philosophical questions. It became apparent that the extreme environment and circumstances in the film causes school teachers, scientists, and NASA to lie, manipulate, and even physically harm others for the greater good. Although they are all justified in their manipulation, there are unforeseen consequences that could have extremely changed the outcome of human civilization in the movie. A quick example being that in the movie, the main character's daughter, Murph, got in trouble for trying to prove the Apollo missions being real, even though her textbook states that it was all US propaganda to bankrupt the Soviet Union. The teacher in the movie says how kids need to be learning how to save their planet instead of being inspired to leave it. Although justified, if Murph accepted that idea, she wouldn't have dedicated her life to bringing human civilization into space, saving everybody. This decision to reject school's status quo seems small and insignificant. However, it leads to a grand, lifelong journey to escape Earth and establish self-sufficient civilizations in space. There are many examples throughout this movie where the makers highlight these small yet extremely important decisions made in the childhood of Murph, which leads to the philosophical theme of causality. Imagine every event, decision, or thought that has led to this moment, a string of causes and effects that have all added up to right now. If someone were to go back on this string and make a small change, it would then snowball into a completely different outcome. This is known as the butterfly effect and is attributed to Edward Lorenz. The beginning of this movie starts with a family on a farm in a world struggling to provide food due to a crop disease known as blight. The main character, Coop, is an intelligent pilot, engineer, and farmer. He is worried about the future of his farm and his children. It is shown through a scene where he is forced to speak with the principal about his son's future, either choosing to farm or go to college, and with his daughter's teacher about her getting into a fight on the Apollo missions. Both the principal and the teacher give justified reasons for the meeting, saying that the world needs more farmers instead of engineers and that children need to save the planet and not abandon it. Throughout the beginning of the movie, there are anomalies that occur within Murph's bedroom that seem random to Coop, but to Murph they are messages. During a sandstorm at a baseball game, the family return home where Murph forgets to close her window, causing sand to pile up on her floor, except they are piled up in straight lines, which is when Coop starts to investigate. He concludes that there are gravitational anomalies and that the way the sand piles up, it lines up to form coordinates. It's that small anomaly that leads Murph and Coop to a secret NASA base. And in this NASA base, the lead scientist of a top secret mission asks Coop to pilot a spacecraft that will travel through a wormhole looking for habitable planets. Although Coop at first is hesitant to the offer, the scientist manipulates him by playing on Coop's love for his children, by explaining how blight will destroy humanity and that his kids will be the last generation. Coop decides that he must go and painfully says goodbye to his children, leaving behind a watch for his daughter. Coop goes on an epic journey into space where the crew is constantly faced with ethical and moral dilemmas. They choose one planet to go to. However, things go wrong and they spend too much time there, causing years of time to jump ahead on Earth without any signal from the crew. They then must decide on 2 other planets to go to once they come back. One has Dr. Mann on it, with data that says there is life on the planet. One has Brand's love interest in it. Brand explains that through the power of love, she believes they should go to the planet with her love interest. However, Coop and the other scientists decide on going to the planet with Dr. Mann. On this planet, Dr. Mann lies to all of them, saying that there is life when there isn't any chance of living on the planet. He justifies attempting to kill Coop, explaining that they can't go home and that they must save the human race by repopulating a different planet with fertilized human eggs. Dr. Mann Dr. Mann dies trying to board the Endurance space station, leaving only Coop and Brand as the last of the crew still alive. With little fuel left, their last option is to use the black hole's immense gravity to slingshot the Endurance to reach the third option of planets, the one with Brand's love interest. In doing so, Coop sacrifices himself, plunging into the black hole. In the black hole, he contacts TARS, one of the robots that have been helping them the whole time. And in the inside of the black hole, they're able to traverse an artificial tesseract that holds time in a three-dimensional space that Coop can interact with and touch. This is where we get to see the full implementation of the butterfly effect as Coop translates the data needed for Murph to complete her formula to save humanity through the watch that he gave to her when she was little. She sees the watch moving strangely and decodes the ticking into binary Morse code. This allows her to save humanity and make breakthroughs in science that nobody was able to. Using Hume's concept of causality, the relationship between cause and effect, the movie Interstellar can visually show the viewers how small, seemingly insignificant events trigger grand consequences across time and space. Hume says that the idea of causation arises not from any direct impression of power, but from the mind's habit of associating events after repeated observation. It isn't until Coop sees Murph's room from inside the Tesseract, where he sees all the repeated anomalies, does he believe that some higher dimensional being led them to where they are. Discovering that these anomalies are not random, but have been placed to affect their life and to try to connect with them, he makes the decision that he is the bridge between the higher dimensional beings to communicate the coordinates in the sand and Morse code of quantum data in the watch so Murph can save humanity. Although these anomalies seem random to the ordinary person, Murph sees the watch and realizes that her ghost has been her father trying to communicate and connect. Even though the mechanisms were unknown, they were repeating, allowing Murph to construct causal connection across the dimension of time. And using Hobbes' theory of social contract, Interstellar dramatizes its scenes with manipulation from figures who are generally seen as trustworthy and scientific. Social contract is the idea that the citizens of a government make a deal with the government. This is, the government should punish those who break the law to keep the peace, and that the government should have some sort of power to promote peace. However, governments historically do not always keep the best interests of the citizens and will lie, manipulate, and hide whatever they need to keep the peace. In the case of Interstellar, NASA lies about trying to make Plan A work for existing humanity to move collectively to another planet. Instead, the true plan was to execute Plan B, repopulate a random planet through fertilized human eggs, Dr. Mann's objective. They do this so that society stays together to keep working for a solution. It makes the viewer question the state of things today. A country governed by the people decide how much power the government has.